Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from simpleprogrammer.com. So it's kind of ironic. I just did a video. I'm re-recording this video because, and this video is about failures. I did a video previously where I alluded to this video where I talked about my journaling process and I talked about the failure part, but I wanted to expand upon that. Anyway, I just recorded a video and I'm using a new microphone that I got that hooks right up into the iPhone as a directional mic. I'm trying to figure out how to hold the camera while doing this, and I held it with my hand on the microphone, and that was a failure. The audio got all garbled because just me touching the microphone messed up the volume levels on it, the sensitivity, and so you couldn't hear any of it. So I recorded this basically, I don't know how many minutes, it was a pretty long video, probably like 9 or 10 minutes, and it's all waste. None of it is usable. So there you go, there's a failure. But that's kind of what I want to talk about, is actually, normally I would be very distraught by that, but I was actually excited because what I realized was that was an opportunity for me to learn something, and I learned how to not hold the camera. I still haven't quite mastered how to hold it, but the more ways that you know how not to hold the camera, the more likely that you're going to learn how to hold it. So we'll see, right? If I fail this time, then great, then I'll learn something else. So, what am I going to talk about here? So, what I wanted to talk about was essentially this idea that I have, and I'm thinking about actually creating a journal. I never thought about creating a journal as a product because there's so many of them out there, and I felt it's kind of cheesy, and I've looked at some of these kind of nice, beautiful journals, and it's, I don't know, I've kind of felt like everybody's doing this, so I never imagined I would do it, but I think I've got actually a good idea that someone hasn't done before, and I actually think it'll be really valuable. So here's the idea. Let me kind of lay the groundwork here. I find that we fail a lot, right? We fail a lot of times every day, and we're making mistakes, right? I'll group those together, and we don't notice it. You know, we notice the big ones, but we don't notice the little ones. And, you know, when you fail, there's two things that can happen. One is that you can learn from the failure, and the other is that you don't learn. And most of the time, especially the small failures, we don't learn. Now, if you're having a lot of trouble being successful in your life, it might be because you're not learning from the big failures. You keep on making mistakes. But what determines whether or not you learn from a failure, or whether failure is valuable, is not just failures, right? Just failing itself is not valuable. It doesn't really gain you anything. What gains you something is when you fail, but you examine that failure and you figure out, why did you fail? What was it that caused you to fail, and what can you learn from it when you actually look at that, right? If you just ignore it, if you just chalk it up, if you just feel bad or beat yourself up about it, you don't really gain a benefit. It doesn't benefit you. So in order to gain knowledge or wisdom or benefit from a failure, you've got to examine it openly. You've got to be honest with yourself, and you got to, really look at what were the causes and determine what you could do to prevent it, which is all well, and and everyone says this, and it's very cliche, but very few people actually do this because they don't have a system or process for doing this. And a lot of the journals that exist today, a lot of the kind of journaling techniques, have you look at the end of the day, what were your successes, which is great. I mean, it's great to pat yourself on the back, but in all honesty, it doesn't really benefit you much when you focus on your successes. That's not. There's very little to learn from success. And in fact, sometimes you can be successful when you do the wrong thing, and so you learn the wrong lesson and you reinforce the wrong thing. So failures are actually a lot more valuable. So what I want to do is I want to shift your viewpoint, because for one thing, failures tend to bring you down, right? You have a bad day and you fail a lot, you feel like crap, you feel like shit, and that's not good. So what if we shifted this? What if you got to the point where every time you failed, every time you made a mistake, not that you want to fail and make mistakes, you're excited about it because it's now an opportunity for you to improve and learn. You really honestly believe that, not just saying that, because a lot of people say that, but they don't really believe that. And the only way that that's going to happen is if you have a real process in place that makes it so that you're actually benefiting from the failures. So I've been doing this for about a week now. I know that's not a huge amount of time, but I've had a huge benefit just from going over my failures and looking at those failures and doing that journaling process, but not just writing down the failure, but reflecting, looking at the full day and saying, okay, what are the failures, even the small ones? Can I come up with a few of them? What are the major things? And then, more importantly, what did I learn from that? What can I learn from that? What can I change? How can I improve? And what does it tell me about about what I'm doing? It's been extremely valuable. I've already used that feedback to improve. But more important than that, which I think is really cool, is that now my whole attitude on failures is shifting. Now I'm sort of, like I said with this video, at the beginning of this video, I want to use that as an example. Normally, I would say, oh, well, that sucks, I just wasted a bunch of time. But I didn't, because that failure actually led me to a better success. Now I'm holding the camera better. Now you can hear me better, the audio is better. Had I not experienced that level of failure and actually immediately reflected on that and figured out what to change, I wouldn't have the benefit. I might have lower audio quality, or I might just ditch that mic and not use that. So there's a huge benefit. So imagine this is kind of my big vision here. Imagine if you had a year worth of every single day for the entire year. You could look at your 2016 or your whatever year it is, let's say this year. Let's say that you could go back at the end of the year and you had a big journal that was filled with every single day, 365 days of every single failure you made, but more importantly than that, what you learned and what wisdom there was to be gained from those failures. Imagine how cool that would be. Imagine how awesome. That'd be like a gold mine of information. I can't think of really anything else that you could journal, that you could write down, that'd be more valuable than having that just huge collection of data. So I think that's immensely powerful. I think that's valuable. So I would like to create, and I'm curious to get your opinions on that if you think this would be something valuable for you, but I'd like to create a journal where it's called the Fail Journal. And it's basically just a collection of everything that you failed at and those lessons, everything that you learned from those failures, and all together in one place where you could look at that, you could reflect on that, you could see patterns in your failures themselves and see like where you obviously have weaknesses, where you have major failures where you're not learning, where you're writing down stuff, but you're still not learning. You keep making the same mistakes again. And just that whole collective wisdom of, the patterns, the trends, and what you need to improve, how you need to change things for the next year or the next week or going forward in order to improve, to reduce those failures or to fail in better ways, right? So now your mindset might shift, and you might now be more inclined to do things that make you uncomfortable. You might be more inclined to do things that have a chance of failure. And when you do experience a failure, instead of feeling bad about it, you might say, oh wow, this is great. I can't wait to journal about this. I'm not even kidding you. Tomorrow, and reflect on what I could have changed or what I could have done differently and how I could have improved and to actually improve. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, and I'm actually enjoying this. I'm having a much more positive outlook just on life in general, because I know that every mistake that I make during the day, tomorrow is going to turn into something that's going to be valuable for me, and I'm going to capture that value, and I've got a process for doing that. So anyway, that's my thoughts. I would like to, of course, get your input on it, and if you're doing this, I don't think many people are. I've never heard of anyone doing this so far. Let me know. I'd actually wouldn't mind getting an email with, if you've been doing this, with all the failures and the lessons learned, like just a sampling, and so I could see how valuable it was to you. But if you're interested, put a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. And yeah, that's it. We'll see what happens. I no promises that I'm actually going to make this thing, but I'm finding it valuable, and I'm probably going to keep on doing it because of how valuable it is, and just that shift, like I said, that shift in mindset of now the way that I'm looking at failures has fundamentally changed. And I've been a person that has always preached the idea that you can't be afraid to fail and that failures are good, but I have reached a new level of understanding by just taking the simple process, because now it's not theoretical. Now it's an actual gold mine of information that I'm gathering every day, and I'm actually benefiting from because it's part of my process. All right, if you like this video, I got a request for you. Don't fail to subscribe. Click that subscribe button and you'll get all the videos that I do. If you click that bell, you'll get them every single time I release videos, like 2 to 3 a day. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.